ready? Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:30. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg,
Here.
Commissioner Brown, here, Commissioner Avery,
Present.
Commissioner Shoemaker,
Present.
Commissioner, Kuzno, here, Commissioner Bayhill,
At this time, we will have the invocation by Commissioner Lloyd, and after this, we will start doing the invocation by the number of our district. So next time it will be Mr. Winfrey and then Ms. Brown. So at this time, the invocation, please.
All right. As we pray tonight, if we can just take just a moment of silence for the firefighter who passed away in the line of duty due to health concerns here in our county, Flint Fire Department firefighter, as well as for one of our colleagues who also has a loved one who has transitioned from this life to the life on the other side. Just a moment of silence. Thank you, dear God. We thank you today for first and foremost gifting to all of us a gift that no other competitor can provide, and that's the gift and enjoyment of another day. We thank you today for all those that have gathered in this room and even the residents and all those that partner across our county. We thank you today that you've chosen all of us that sit around this table as vessels for you to use to bring about hope and healing for our community. Thank you for choosing our hands, our eyes, our feet, our mouths to do not our will, but your will and the will of the people. We pray now that you give us divine wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be able to discern and determine what is best as we make decisions tonight. And we pray and all hope that as a result of the decisions that we will make, that our community will be better, it will be stronger, it will be more encouraged, that our community can and will continue to get better. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I need approval for the minutes of February 15th.
So moved.
Is there any discussions or corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have, is there any public address to the commissioners? This is the time set aside for public comment. Any person wishing to provide comment to the board may do so. We ask that you line up along the west wall, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. We ask that all speakers refrain from personal attacks against individuals. This is your time to be heard. We can do that in a civil manner. Should any speaker engage in personal attacks, I'll remind you of your requirements and ask that you please be in order. If the speaker continues to be out of order, I'll ask them to be removed from the meeting. So those wishing to speak, please state your name and where you live.
Neil Seward, Flint Township. I wanted to just take a moment to once again thank you for recognizing the need and establishing a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee within Genesee Township. The work they do is really good. We've got some commissioners that sit on the DEI committee as well. The difficult thing, though, people, when I talk to them, don't realize that this commission exists. They don't know when the meetings are, even though Mr. Freeman does an excellent job in posting them. So the last two meetings, the only people from the general public that attended the meetings were my wife and I, and we're just encouraged so much by this committee. As many meetings as we go to every month, in Flint Township, here, in other places in the community, as many activities as my wife and I attend, for some reason, we always feel and believe in the DEI meetings because it gives us hope, hope for the future, hope that this racism, all this antagonism that we constantly see in our society will dwindle down. So I just want to invite everyone here, as well as the commissioners and the public, that the next DEI meeting will be Wednesday, March 8th, and it's going to be in this very room at the same time, 5:30 p.m. So 1 week from today, 5:30 p.m. in this room. Anyone that can join and see the great work that this committee is doing, we'd like to see you there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Brenda Hino, Vienna Township. I was pleasantly surprised to see this year that the meetings are at 5:30. Thank you for that. And a question about a month ago, when you were interviewing candidates was, how do you think you could stop racism? And I know I left a message for Mr. Winfrey. I think that one of the biggest things is respect. We're all human beings. We all deserve respect, no matter what culture we're from. Each culture brings both positive and negative. And if we respect each other, it goes a long way. Our society has gotten away from that, and our youth are really looking for that, is the respect. And I just encourage the board and also our community just to respect each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments? Seeing none, public comments closed. On to communications. We have two reports today, one from the Explore Flint and Genesee 2022 year-end report. Thank you. They're going to do a presentation.
First, I want to thank you guys. Most of you know me. If you don't, my name is Christina Johnston. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Flint and Genesee Group. And we appreciate your time tonight in listening to a presentation about the Explore Flint and Genesee 2022 results and activities. We try to do this for you as frequently as possible and are always open to meetings in between with individuals to talk about all the work that we do. We'll only get to touch on a little bit today. I do want to introduce you to Amari Stewart. If you don't already know her, she'll talk more about herself. She is our new Executive Director for Explore Flint and Genesee. She replaces Elena Wines, who has not gone far. Elena has been promoted to our Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. So we have not lost all of that expertise and institutional knowledge. She'll support Amari in the marketing efforts. But we're very excited to see what Amari is going to do in this role, and she's going to share a little bit about 2022 with you. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Amari Stewart. I am the now Executive Director for Explore Flint and Genesee, which is a division of the Flint and Genesee Group. I previously served as the sales manager with the organization for the past 7 years. I covered the markets of sports and association travel. I would first like to thank the commissioners for allowing me to present this year, or present our 2022 year-end report on behalf of Explore Flint and Genesee. I have had the pleasure to meet most of you and look forward to engaging and with those of you who have not had the chance to meet just yet. All right, we're going to do a 2022 year-end recap. These are the things we're going to discuss. Today's report will summarize destination marketing activities and results from January through December 2022, covering the following categories. Each of you should have received a copy of the year-end report in your packet. It would be this one here. So the one with the orange sheet is just my slideshow presentation, but this would be your year-end report that you would have received either via email when prior to today. All right, so tourism and economy. Oh, these are small up here. For reporting purposes, our lodging metrics are sourced from the Smith Travel Research. Our data is collected from 20 properties throughout the county. And so that includes our Hill Road Corridor, Miller Road properties, Holly Road, and even some of our motels as well. You will notice an increase in key indicators as we see occupancy rates increase closer to pre-pandemic numbers. Most notable are the sustainable increases in average daily rate and revenue, which was above pre-pandemic numbers in 2019. All right, revenues increased in 2022 may be a result to rescheduled and new events occurring in that same year. So those events that had canceled previously have rescheduled to 2022, and then new events that are happening in the year as well. Just also including that this does not include data from the Gateway Hotel, as they did not have a flag to report to the Smith Travel Research. That's a 171-room property, and they did not report between March and December of 2022, but we still sustained increases in our average daily rate and revenues. All right, this is one of our metric slides as we gauge our progress throughout the year through our team. A strategy to rebound back to pre-pandemic numbers. Our focus was on key metrics and benchmarks to measure our success, which included book business, which is up year over year, actually. Contracted rooms exceeded anticipated goals, and book business, like I said, increased. Our certified tourism ambassador held sessions throughout the year, and they hosted public and private classes for AmeriCorps Mott Community College, Fenton Linden Regional Chamber, Southern Lakes Parks and Rec, and potential impressions will be expressed through the public speaking engagement and hospitality outreach. All right, now we're going to discuss our communications and public relations. Key metrics in this slide indicate our efforts on social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We just started TikTok, and targeting the leisure and business traveler by promoting the region and its amenities. I'll pull all these up so you guys can see. Oops, sorry. All right, we experienced notable engagement while promoting the season opening of US 23 Drive-In Theater. In December, we partnered with an influencer as she shared her time spent with family here in Genesee County with her social media audience, highlighting attractions such as the Sloan Museum of Discovery, Flint Farmers Market, Crossroads Village, Huckleberry Railroad, and she and her family ended their night with dinner in Fenton. News coverage continued through the year, including being featured in syndicated articles behind the minting as we discussed holiday activities and news on the funding of the new state park. In addition to public relations and marketing, we also provided planning and logistical support for the Vehicle City Gridiron Classic, which is the kickoff to football season here within the county. We select 4 teams from across the county, and they compete over 2 days. We typically have an attendance upwards of 7,000 over the 2-day period, as well as the nation's largest traveling 3-on-3 basketball tournament known as the Gus Macker, which we are excited to have back within our community. We also noticed a significant increase in our users searching area hotels through our direct booking link, which brings us joy as we are an extension of their sales team. All right, we'll talk about advertising and marketing and what those metrics look like. As we analyze our web traffic and paying close attention to travel trends, we focused our marketing efforts on 2 markets that sustained our hotel revenues. That included group travel, so association travel, sports organizers. In 2022, website users increased by 35%, and time spent on pages increased by 8% compared to 2021. Suggested itineraries were also added to the plan section of the website, leading to double the web traffic for that section. We were featured in several publications, most notably the Pure Michigan eDeals, where our hotel partners can partner with local attractions, or there were some golf packages, especially during the Ally Challenge, where they can post their hotel packages on the Pure Michigan website, and that also garnered some additional business in the area as well. All right, partnerships and promotions. Okay, yeah. So we continue to build awareness by encouraging leisure travel through regional partnerships and featured publications. And those key partnerships that we leverage because the memberships in those organizations relative to the groups that we are trying to attract are imperative to the tourism industry as we compete against other destinations. So you'll see organizations like Michigan Association of CVBs, Michigan Festivals and Events Association, Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, which provides financial support for the hotels who are struggling through the pandemic and trying to get them back to pre-pandemic operations. We leverage those key organizations. We like to call it cooperation because we do travel with our competition as we try to leverage those groups outside of Genesee County to come into our area. each of you would have received a packet that includes a lot of our marketing material as we engage those meeting planners, one of them being the meeting planner guide, which we break it down to Flint in 48 hours. We also break it down to hotels with meeting space, unique meeting space opportunities, and then conference centers as well. We have a partnership with all of our hotels that wish to be included in that meeting planner guide to showcase their space. And then there's also a feature in there to Bishop International Airport, as we are the third largest and have the third largest or busiest airport in the state. And so we make sure that we highlight those areas. There's also a sports planner guide that we use for our national governing bodies and our sports organizing event organizers, so that they can have an easy access on how they can host their event in Genesee County. And then the things to do. We learned from our hoteliers, when the guests actually get to the hotels, they're looking for things to do in the area. And we didn't want to convolute it with all of the things. And so each hotel relative to their district, so you'll see one for Flint, you'll see one for Grand Blanc, you'll see one for Fenton, you'll see one for Davison. When we narrate it down to things to do, shopping, restaurants, things that are local in the area to help navigate that travel when the tourist is in town or when our guests are traveling. And I hope that you guys enjoy that as well, as it's respective to your districts. All right, group sales strategies. This is where I get excited, because this is when we bring in business from outside of the area into our county and showcase what we have. We had over 7,000 contracted hotel room nights, and we secured 29 group leads, and 41 booking opportunities were sent to hotels. Our CVB, one of the largest groups that we host is the Mid-Michigan Fire Sticks Tournament. They bring in students or girls, athletes from 12 to 18 years old from all across Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And we created a housing bureau for them, because the hotels did not want to go with a third-party booking agency, because they would lose up to 17% of revenue as we were trying to rebound back from pre-pandemic numbers. And so internally, we created a housing bureau that reported data for 13 properties, so that's including Hill Road and Holly Road, and they had over 400 room nights, and that sustained an economic impact of over $900,000 and sustained just about 211 jobs within the community as well. And so I'll be happy to show those economic impact numbers with you on a separate meeting, but love to see that type of business, and that we were able to retain this tournament in our area, that it would not cause a detriment to our hotel partners. We also hope last year was the first year for the 64th annual Canusa Games. I wish I had pictures to show you. As the teams entered into Dordt Financial Credit Union Event Center, they all were welcomed with bags of Explore Flint and Genesee. So they were walking through Dordt Financial Event Center with their welcome bags. They said Explore Flint and Genesee on. They had things to do in the area, nice little tchotchkes and things to take home with them. So we were super excited about that as well. And then as we move forward to 2023 and beyond, Bishop International Airport, we're working with them as they host the Wings Over Flint in June of this year. And we've also secured the Kennedy Center American College of Theaters Festival for 2023 and 2024. You'll also see that in your report, there's the VFW annual conference that we were able to secure now that the Holiday Inn Express, the Gateway Hotel, now the Best Western Collection, has a flag, and we have that for the next 4 years as well. And they generate additional 200 room nights or more with that group. All right, looking ahead for Genesee County. Talent shortages still remain an issue in the market, but leisure travelers are more interested in drivable destinations. So if you can go anywhere between a 60 to 90 mile radius, that's pretty much where we pivoted our target market. And then focus on 2023 and beyond. We would like to strategically promote the destination assets to visitor and local audiences, utilizing the efforts that we mentioned before and our social media platforms. And we will definitely pay close attention to market trends and return on investment, and share what we learn with others, including our hotel partners and our tourism partners alike. If there's any questions, I welcome them now, but thank you all for your time, and I look forward to meeting with you individually.
Is there any questions? Mr. Shoemaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes?
And thank you for the information. I just have a couple quick questions.
Absolutely.
One,
Does the softball tournament, the Firebird softball tournament, is that the only time we fill all our hotels in the community still?
No, it's not. Honestly, but that's probably the largest tournament that fills our hotels. Our hotels are actually booked with weddings, believe it or not, during the summer, so it congests our booking capabilities. And then also during Ally Challenge and Creme Festival or races, those happen around the same time of the week as well, and so we get an influx of business travel during that time as well.
So it's been said by a lot of the hotel management that winter is a time that we struggle to actually
It is.
put people into the hotels.
It is. So January, February, March are pretty much our slow seasons. October, November, and December are our slow seasons as well. January and February this year is actually picking up. We have 9 group blocks with over, I want to say, 800 room nights that we're working on right now. This has never happened before, not in my 7 years of working here, from January and February. So we are starting to see an uptick in travel with state associations, government associations, and educational groups that are traveling to the area now. Not so much heavy in sports, although we did just host the Center Collegiate Women's Hockey Association. They play at Crystal Fieldhouse. That happened February 24th through the 25th, but it happens every year around the same time. And then there's the Winter Color Guard that usually sustains a lot of room nights as well throughout the winter months, but those are indeed our struggle months.
Thank you so much. If I could get a card from you afterwards so we could call and talk some more.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Is there any other questions? Mr. Lloyd,
Excellent job.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
thank you for your report.
Thank you.
And at this time, we have a presentation from G-Card, Stephanie Howard and her group.
In my group, yeah. Hello, Commissioners. Thank you all for having me. It's a hard act to follow. I'm gonna do my best. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for allowing me. I've talked to Commissioner Renfrey several times about getting here, so thank you. And so I have a short presentation, I hope. I'll try to go as quickly as possible to kind of give you an overview of G-Card. All right. So G-Card is a department, but within that department, there are 5 different programs. Neighborhood Service Center, known as NSC, Weatherization Assistance Program, Commodities Food Program, Head Start and Early Head Start, and our Nutrition Services Program. So before I say our mission, we currently are operating with about a $35.5 million operating budget. So we have a mission statement, I'll read that. It says, G-Card is your community action partner. We are dedicated to enhancing the quality of life within the community by preventing and alleviating the causes of poverty, mobilizing and directing resources to assist, educate, and promote self-sufficiency. So who is G-Card and what sets us apart? So G-Card is the only designated anti-poverty agency within Genesee County. We are one of 27 community action agencies in the state. We currently have a tripartite board of 15. A few of them are in here. Some of our tripartite board members decided they wanted to join us, and I'm very helpful and grateful for their support. So what we do, we offer an array of programs that creates a wraparound services. As I mentioned before, those programs that weatherization, nutrition services, those different programs allow us to have a wraparound kind of one-stop opportunity. When a client comes to G-Card, we can help eliminate some barriers. Sometimes a client will have to come here, go to DHHS, go to Salvation Army to get the services that they need, but we have what we offer, what we call is our wraparound services. G-Card has reoccurring grants based on the fact that we are a community action agency, the only anti-poverty designated agency in Genesee County. So we have that status. So we get these reoccurring grants to come, and we also have those relationships that we've built with our counterparts to help promote. So the first program I'm going to talk to you about is our Neighborhood Service Center. And it's sort of basically our emergency service center where people go. The Emergency Service Center, or the Neighborhood Service Center, provides emergency services to low-income individuals and families in Genesee County. Primarily what we're doing in that department, we are trying to do whatever we can do to keep a person from becoming homeless. And so we have people that show up, they call, or they come by, and we were doing walk-ins at one point, but we've kind of slowed that down, and we're going back to appointment only. But if there is a need for water bill assistance, electrics bills, they're listed their first month's rent, foreclosure prevention, eviction prevention. That's where you will find yourself calling as the Neighborhood Service Center, again, our emergency service center. So, between the years of 2020 and 2022, we were able to put over $20 million, to be exact, $20,241,918.52 into direct services. So we were able to help people, and you'll see there on the pie chart where over 19 million went to housing as well as utility services. One of the other things that we've been able to do is partner with our Treasurer's Department, and at over $125,000, we've been able to assist our Treasurer's Department with paying back taxes for clients, trying to keep them in their homes. A lot of, I would say, working poor, people who are actually struggling, trying very hard to maintain their homes. And so we've been able to do that. One of the good things about that is if we can enhance the property tax ability to help people stay in their homes, that obviously helps us with our general fund here as far as supporting our tax base. Some of the other services we provided at the tune of over $280-some thousand was an opportunity to purchase computers for people in need during the pandemic. Tons of people were pushed to stay home, trying to figure out how to navigate now in a world that said everything must be done online. We were able to purchase 369 computers, the computer covers to, whatever they call the computer to go over the cover, the hotspots for them so they would have free internet. And that was a blessing. That was a major day. You were there with us, Commissioner, when we were able to share those computers with so many people. Throughout the year of between 2020 and 2022, we were able to assist over 6,000 households in Genesee County. And that has been major help. So again, over 20,000 directly to assistance. And we average about 690 applications in that department each month. Our next program is our weatherization program. This program is, the Weatherization Assistance Program is a federally funded energy reducing repair program. The Department of Energy allows programs such as weatherization to help income qualified homeowners and renters reduce their energy usage, therefore providing energy savings. So between 2020 and 2022, we were able to weatherize 107 homes in Genesee County. We were able to provide 99 homes with plumbing repair, and we were also able to provide 339 new water heaters to City of Flint residents who were impacted by the water crisis, because that's still a real thing. So you'll see the dollars that we received. We received $315,000 of COVID plumbing repair money. That goes back to those 99 homes that I mentioned that we did the plumbing repair for. We received $80,900 of weatherization deferral money. Those dollars were given to us because there's times when the weatherization team may go into a home and have to walk away because there is asbestos in the house or the roof needs a repair and they can't do the work. They're required to walk away. Well, the state has now put money in place to try to assist so that we can do some of those repairs that need to be done so that the home can be weatherized. We received $838,640 in LIHEAP funds, and we also received $1.3 million in water heater funds. The next program that I'm going to talk about is our Commodities Food Program. This is a program, it helps to improve the health of low-income seniors over the age of 60. And I think it's very important to kind of highlight the health part of it, because we understand that sometimes as people get older, their income becomes a fixed income. They're put in a position where they have to make a decision between paying a bill or getting some nutritious food. This program has helped over 57,000 low-income seniors in the Genesee County area to supplement their income with nutritious food. You'll see the list of things that are there that are in the box. It's a really good box of food, and we have been fortunate to be able to really help a ton of people who are in need. And again, this is a program designed towards low-income seniors 60 and over. Within the commodities program, there's also an emergency food program. And for that program, you do not have to be 60, but you have to have a food emergency. This is a wonderful program. Between the time of 2020 and 2022, we serviced over 51,000 clients. These boxes are available during the months of March, June, September, and December. So today being day one for our TFAB, the parking lot was full before we could even open the doors this morning. And so this is an opportunity for anyone who has a food crisis, who is in a situation. They can come here, they can get a box of food. Again, it's really nutritious food. This emergency food box oftentimes will have things like chicken, hamburger, ham, fish. We'll have a ton of different things that we call our bonus items, in addition to those the box with canned goods and shelf-stable foods as well. So for our commodities program, we actually serve 26 senior centers throughout Genesee County. We actually deliver those boxes directly to those centers. We've partnered with a local church, and we make sure that they have enough emergency food to service an additional 800 families throughout the month. They come for the month, again, those 4 months that we actually give out TFAB food. We received $581,478 worth of CSFP money. We received $11,765 of COVID dollars to support the program. We received $40,817 for the trade mitigation, which will go back to that emergency box that I was talking about, those bonus items. Those dollars support that. And then for our TFAB program, we received $577,234. The next program I'm going to highlight is our Head Start and Early Head Start program. G-Card's Early Head Start program provides center and home-based services to over 500 children from ages birth to 3. We receive federal funds for that. We also have a Head Start program that we service 424 children ages 3 to 5. The thing about G-Card, we actually service the children as well as the family. So if we go and we're dealing with the child, we're actually also dealing with the family, trying to improve them as well, trying to create that opportunity for self-sufficiency. So G-Card Head Start advocates on behalf of Genesee County's children and families for family initiatives and continued funding. And we actually had a meeting with Representative Dan Kildee in regards to funding, and more recently we were involved with a roundtable with Governor Whitmore. So Early Head Start for 21-22 year, we received $8,208,063. 8 million, so big I can't get it right. $8,208,063. And for our Head Start, we received $5,322,230. And you'll see a list of areas that we have Head Start classes in. We currently have 41 Head Start classes throughout Genesee County. So this is probably one that everybody knows, our nutrition services program, also known as Meals on Wheels. Everybody talks about it. Oftentimes if I'm in a community, I might say G-Card and they scratch their head, but if I say Meals on Wheels, everybody knows what that is. So I love to report this. Josh has probably read this a ton of times, but this is one of our programs that we actually serve over 1,000 seniors every day. So we provide 2 nutritious meals every day to over 1,000 seniors. It's a hot meal and it's a cold meal. We have several different types that we're able to do. The referrals come from our Valley Area on Aging, who is one of our funding sources. But our staff gets in every morning around 5 o'clock. They start to cook. They prepare the meals daily, and they're delivered daily. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. G-Card also delivers Ensure to about 250 seniors monthly, as well as about 200 seniors. We deliver congregate meals to congregate sites. We have 19 congregate sites. I think I missed something, but I want to point this one out. That day, in that small picture there, that was our Lieutenant Governor who showed up. He delivered meals to one of our seniors. He stayed with her. He talked with her. It was a really, really great day. He had his kids with him, and it was just a really good day to highlight G-Card. They reached out to us for that opportunity, and we were happy to be a part of that. Over 53% of our funding comes from VAAA, and over 46% comes from our senior millage. So, this is good. 588,726 meals were delivered in the year of 2022 to homebound seniors. Keeping in mind, homebound seniors often are exactly that. They can't leave home. So we are up again every morning at 5 o'clock, and we had a big number of 588,726 meals delivered to those homebound seniors. We had 60,481 meals delivered to the congregant sites. Again, we have 19 of those. We had 10,073 meals delivered to our after-school at-risk programs and 9,401 meals delivered to our Meet Up and Eat Up sites. We had 78,266 meals delivered to our U of M Early Childhood Development and G-Card Head Start program. You'll see on that chart, our senior millage, we received about a little over 1.4 million, and between the two congregate and home delivered for Valley Area on Aging, we received a little bit over 1.6 million. I'm gonna point out that picture because Congressman Kildee came and he rolled up his sleeves, he put on a hairnet, and he got busy. We called it slinging taters, and he was working very hard. He cares. He has come for our Head Start program. He's come for our nutrition services as well as our weatherization program. He's come to support, and so he comes and he gets in there. When he came for the weatherization program, he went up in the tenant's attic. We were like, okay, be very, very careful. I mean, he just went halfway up, but he didn't go all the way in. But this is a very important program because we deliver a ton of meals daily to homebound seniors again. And I want to just point out the fact that oftentimes the only person that those homebound seniors may see will be that driver. And so those drivers and the clients become attached to each other. We have drivers who don't want to switch routes. We have clients who don't want a new driver. Oftentimes, we have had opportunities where, because the relationship has been formed, they have been able to identify a senior who may not have been doing too well, and they'll reach back out to the emergency contact. We have had times where 911 has had to be called. It's really, it's bittersweet. It's one of those things that we are happy to do, but it's sad to do at the same time. But again, we have a list, I have a stack, and I can provide it to you, of a lot of the comments that the clients, we do surveys, that the clients provide on how they feel about their drivers. It's so important that those homebound seniors have these meals. It keeps them from having to go into nursing homes. There's percentages that show that if they can stay nourished, they can stay home. So we're ending, but I want to end on this note.
Jimmy Carter heads up Meals on Wheels with food each day and has for the past 5 years.
They do a wonderful, fantastic job, very, very courteous, and very respectful. This is a tough one to deliver. Each row has about maybe anywhere between 35 and 50 people on a row.
The Meals on Wheels project is already shut in just a couple of hours. The reason? These drivers need to head out right away and deliver 1,000 meals to people here in Genesee County.
They do an excellent job of doing that.
That's actually the day we were giving out the computers. I'm available for questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for us being able to see our friend up there. I remember that day really, really well. It was a great day for us to serve our community, so.
Yep, it was a great day.
Even with my antlers and my hat, I thought that was pretty good. I have a question, and then I'll have the commissioners ask. On the hotspots that we gave, do we still pay the service on those?
No, that was for 12 months.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it was for 12 months, free
So
service.
are they able to do it themselves, or did we get the hotspots back, or?
Oh, no, the computers and the hotspots were theirs to keep.
So they could continue?
Yes.
To keep
yes.
it, okay. All right, thank you, that's all I had,
you're
but great presentation.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown.
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed with the data and that you provided for each of the programs. I wonder if there's a waiting list out there for anyone for the Meals on Wheels and some of the other anti-poverty programs. Have you found that there's a large waiting list?
So I actually, Valley Area on Aging would do the referral. So they would be able to tell us if there's a waiting list. I'm going to look back at my expert on that. Is there a waiting list currently? A very small waiting list for that. They go through the process of determining eligibility, and then they send us the clients. So if there's a waiting list, it's probably not anything to do with us. It would be whatever the process that they go through.
I just wanted to say I was at a G-Card meeting on Monday.
Yes.
Where they were planning their grant, and I was just super impressed with the way that the thought process that goes into the entire budget, the work that is done to do comparative studies.
Yes.
I was impressed that parents were actively participating in the discussion for the grant planning, and I was just really encouraged and impressed, so thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for participating. They really appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Lloyd.
Thank you again. I echo my colleagues. Awesome presentation. One question about the slide that you had up that had to do with the early Head Start. Saw that you listed the cities that were up there, but I did not see the city of Flint.
And that part of is handled by GASD.
It is. Thank you.
Mr. Kuzno.
Mother for the last 3 years. Been homebound, and there wasn't, when we signed her up, there wasn't a late waiting list. She got right in. Over the years, during the pandemic, if any of the drivers noticed anything different with what was going on at the house, like I forgot to call that she wasn't going to be there that day, they personally would let you know, and I got a phone call just to check, make sure everything was okay. So it does provide a very valuable service to the community, and in her 90s, allowed her to stay in her home, be self-sufficient, even though she was homeless for a number of years.
Oh, you're very welcome.
The other question I had is on the Head Start, you have 434.
24.
I know there's a lot more that are out there that could use that service, and I'm sure it's because of funding. But how do you go about selecting who gets in and who doesn't?
So honestly, I wish Kelly was here to give you a more detail about, I believe it's just an application process. They screen those applications. I don't know that other than income, that someone would be turned away. If they're over the income guidelines, I don't think that they would be turned away. Yeah, that's my, if Kelly could tell me something different, if there was something, but other than income, it is all income-based. And so when families are inquiring, they do the application. I think we've had a time or two where there was a very rare reason why a person wasn't accepted, but if they meet the income guidelines, they should be accepted.
I know in my part of the county, the northern part, the poverty level over the last, decade has gone up dramatically. And so, they need more and more services. And a lot of them are young people. And the number of meals that are provided to the schools because of the low income, et cetera, has gone up dramatically. And So I was just curious how you, being as you did the Head Start outside of the central part of the county, the Flint and GIS did the other. I was just wondering how you determine that. 'Cause
Right.
there's a lot of children out there that could use the service, families, because I know you also.
Right,
help
we
the
focus on
family.
the family, absolutely. And those are our list of areas that we currently have classrooms in. And you'll see it in your presentation. Again, GISD has some as well. And so what we encourage people to do is obviously, we're trying to do now, I think we mentioned Facebook and things like that, just make our services more aware so people will know. Sometimes people just don't know where to go and apply.
Well, that's the biggest problem is that the people don't know, and they don't know what services are out there. And I'm involved with a group out there that are in that community is trying to create a agency or a go-to place to help with wraparound services, just like what you provide. Because it's mostly one of education and people just, there's a lot of seniors out there. They don't even know that something like Meals on Wheels is available, et cetera.
Exactly.
And to reach those people, that's the hard part. And so I encourage you to do whatever you can
Be more seen.
to be more seen, correct?
Absolutely.
And let people know through various, going to the senior citizen centers is great, but that's not all the seniors that are out there. That's just maybe a regular handful that go to that. And the communities have a lot more that don't go that way. And so it's hard to reach them. And so I encourage you to,
Find ways to do that.
find ways to make
Absolutely,
it
I would
happen.
do that. Thank you.
And Stephanie, if I may, I know at one time there was a card that had all of the places that you could get services from. If you could supply some of those to the other commissioners. So
Absolutely.
they could drop them off in their district and use it for theirself.
Absolutely.
I've got a lot of phone calls, and then my phone call goes to Stephanie.
Yep,
And
not a
she's helped many of my residents with rent and their water bill, their heat bill, food assistance. When someone calls and says, we don't have hardly anything to eat. And she's always been there to be able to get me a box to my seniors that can't come out.
Right.
And I know, but they still cook, and to drop off a box to them. So, if you could get those cards so they could hand them out in their districts, that would
Absolutely.
be appreciated. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam
Winfrey.
Chair. Stephanie, when did you become director of G-Card?
November of 2020.
So you inherited a lot of stuff when you became director, is that right?
I did. I inherited a lot. It's a lot of good, but it comes with some hard knocks as well. You see the work that we do. I get up every morning because of the people who I know need us. And so it's a lot of good work, but it has a lot of hard knocks to go with it as well. I didn't inherit, a beautiful basket of, goodies. There's been a lot to kind of work through. So it feels like an uphill battle.
Yeah, and
but it's
you
worth it.
inherited a deficit when you became director,
I
is
did.
that correct? How much of a deficit?
At that time, it was about 1.2 million.
Okay, and what is that deficit now?
My understanding from conversations, it's about 800,000 now.
Right. Great job on the presentation, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing, Mr. Kuzno.
I just want to follow up with Mr. Winfrey a little bit, but in 2020, was the chair of the county at that point in time, and we had a committee that went through a selection process, and you was the one that we recommended the board hired, and I appreciate your service, and I know you inherited a deficit. I know there was problems then, and there had been for a long time, and I haven't been here the last 2 years. I only know the good work that you did on Meals on Wheels for my mother, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a real battle, but it's worth it. I get up every day. I wake up probably like 5 o'clock every morning just to come because you have to have a heart for what you do. You have to care about people who are in need. I do believe, like currently, a lot of the issues that we've had are going to work themselves out. We've partnered now with our fiscal services, and Crystal and her team have been very supportive at helping us work through a lot of, again, the stuff that I inherited. I think now that she has her hands on it and her team has her hands on seeing, how things go. We're working together. It's a ton of calls and a ton of emails each day, working through what we're, the things that we have to work through. It never feels good to sit in a deficit. We're 100% grant funded. So to try to figure out a strategy on how to pay off debt, it's real. This deficit elimination plan has been in place for GCAR for about 5 years, and it's due now. There's no other way around it. So I appreciate all your support because you get to see what we do, but also oftentimes if you just hear, man, this is a problem, it's a deficit, it's a deficit, it could seem a little bit overwhelming or underwhelming. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for the presentation. Since we're talking, I didn't think that we were going to get into the deficit problem or the deficit elimination plan. You mentioned it was 5 years ago, and that deficit elimination plan was put in place to satisfy the state, correct?
That's my understanding. Crystal could confirm that though, but that's my understanding, yes. Because I
So-
believe the deficit was even prior to that, but the plan was in place since 5 years ago.
Madam Chair, can we get Crystal to come up here,
Sure.
please?
Crystal, could you come up? Thank you.
Caller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Could you explain to the commissioners that weren't here how the deficit elimination plan was put in place, what was supposed to happen, and then explain to the rest of us, because I thought at the end of it, we were supposed to be through it and not having to ask the general fund to pick up that cost. So if you could go through the entire process since we brought it up here, if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, so the state requires if you have a fund in a deficit, they do let you look at if you have what's called deferred revenue. So if you don't collect it within 60 days of your year end, any receivables that you have to do what's called defer it. So you can't recognize the revenue even though you have the expense in that fiscal year. So they actually let you back that out of your deficit that you have because they know you're going to collect that revenue in the following year. Once you do that analysis, any leftover deficit, they only give you 5 years to eliminate it. I can't remember what year that started, that the state changed that. It used to be you could just say, we have plans and you could extend it out for whatever period of time you needed. And then they came up with that 5-year maximum saying you can't go out any further than that. The previous finance team at GCAR did do an analysis that projected that the deficit would be eliminated at the end of 2023. Unfortunately, we haven't seen that come to fruition. Some of that was related to the repayment of the disallowed costs. Some of that deficit did come from previous years. I know the previous finance people over there missed some drawdowns, and so once the grant period ends, you can't go back in and ask them for that additional funding. And I think that was about $350,000 of it. So since we can eliminate it by the end of 2023, that will be coming through next month for you to approve because it's due to the state by the end of April. We'll have to show the state that we did a transfer to eliminate that deficit in fiscal year 2023. So we're working right now to figure out what that actual number is. My last calculation was between 800 and 850. But I do know that there's some funds that, like your vehicle fund, I think you plan on purchasing some vehicles out of that, so that will increase the deficit for general fund.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
We might figure out another
So we're
way
still
on
working with the GCAR team to come up with that final number, but it will be coming in the next month for you to approve.
You'd mentioned 300,000 was not recovered or applied for and then received. Do you know what years that was in?
I have a document, I think 2 years ago, I had Christy go back and analyze when the deficit began and then what the changes were each year. So I have that. I don't have it with me tonight, but I can get that to you.
Could you send it to all the commissioners?
Yeah,
I would
sure.
appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just that one ad, and I'm not
okay.
going to prolong. And
Okay, go
most
ahead,
of my sentiments
Mr.
have been,
Avery.
most sentiments have been taken. But Ms. Howard, I thank you for your presentation. It unfortunately shares that there is struggle throughout the whole county, and not just the stigma of what would be considered with a Flint. But is there any actions as far as a strategic plan, something that maybe we can, as commissioners, have a real-time lens of where we are with the G card, and maybe we can have input, maybe we can assist instead of having a end result. Maybe we can, in the interim, be able to assist in some fashion. So, are there any thoughts of any goals or strategic plan to get to this elimination piece?
Well, I strategically plan with my staff, my directors all the time. We do have a 5-year strategic plan in place. There is just things that come at you all the time that just disrupt that plan. I welcome meetings and conversations on ideas and strategies. I do believe, again, we're off to a better start working closer with our fiscal services to kind of get around some of the things that have already happened. I think one of the things that happened for me was we used to have an ability to do a de minimis rate and generate, and if I say it wrong, Crystal, forgive me, like revenue.
Yeah.
And we were told by the state that we had to go to the direct allocation method, and that happened in 2020. That just created a less of an opportunity for us to become more financial responsible as far as that deficit was going, as far as that, every now and then it would look like it was going to be, tracking to be eliminated, and then something else would happen. When the direct allocation process was put in place, it changed a lot. And Crystal, please save me if I'm going down the wrong road.
Okay.
But I think I'm right about that. But strategic planning, we do that. We have a plan in place. We definitely try our best to adhere to it and follow it. But I will welcome the conversations, and maybe if there's a few of you that would like to come together and we can look at G-Card as a whole and figure out different strategies, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Seeing no more questions, thank you again.
Thank you.
We will move on to the Board of Commissioners. Resolution 1, approval of a grant award for the Michigan Department of Human
I move it.
in the amount of $30,000. We have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2, approval of a proposed amendment for 22-23 appropriation resolution reallocating expenditures and expenses in the fund of 2744 to align with available grant dollars. This was waived from G-Card to the full board. Do we have a motion?
Support.
Okay. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Community and Economic Development, Dale Wayhill and Dr. Beverly Brown. There's nothing on your agenda, so do you have anything you'd like to say? Update on the committee? I know at that day, I think we didn't have a quorum for economic development that day, so at committee, there wasn't really anything that was discussed. We'll move to Finance Committee, Martin Cousineau, Chairperson, Dr. Beverly Brown, Vice Chair. Mr. Cousineau.
I move Resolution 2023-75, approval of office reorganization for Genesee County's Clerk Register.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Lloyd.
I don't have any discussion, but do we want to have the clerk come speak to this for the public knowledge when you talk about
I'm sure
reorganization? I know
He would love to, because he's been doing this a lot at a lot of different meetings, so.
Good evening. So quick recap of this. I know I went through this in length at our committee meeting. This is the first of several steps to move the Office of the County Clerk Register of Deeds forward into the future. This reorganization in total saves $40,000 annually. That'll be going back to the general fund for your all use. In eliminating 3 positions from the department and creating 4 positions, although we're creating more positions as a cost savings because multiple positions are being funded in full or in part through our CPL fund, which is completely reserved for clerk operations, and our tech automation fund, which is completely reserved for the Register of Deeds operations, taking more burden away from the general fund. What this does is merges the position of Chief Deputy Clerk and Chief Deputy Register of Deeds into one Chief Deputy Clerk Register position. and then creates a division supervisor for each of the 4 divisions within the Department of the Clerk Register. That would be a vital records supervisor, an election supervisor, a legal division supervisor, and a deed supervisor or deputy register. This also allows us to create an additional staff member in the Vital Records Department to help service residents and have a fully staffed office there to make sure we have full coverage at our front counter, as well as folks operating behind the scenes on some of the desk work there. There's also currently a vacant court clerk position that was vacant for several years that was unrealized by the previous clerk that this position was already in our budget. Is there any questions?
No questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
I move 2023-76, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Newkirk Electric in the amount not to exceed $268,617 to provide for network wiring in the Genesee County's jail.
Support.
Funding for this project will come.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Go ahead, Marty.
Mr. Kuzma?
Well, I didn't get to the part about this is funded by ARPA allocation, so it's no drain on the general fund, and it's a rewiring that's been needed for a long time, so it's a good thing.
Okay, Mr. Shoemaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Freeman, this question would be for you if you could answer it. How much, last meeting, I questioned whether we could spend some ARP dollars on some overtime for the sheriff's department. And I was wondering at the time how much we had left in ARP funds to spend. Do we know roughly where that number is after this
Yeah.
expenditure?
Yep, roughly about $250,000 is unallocated.
Did you say 250?
250,000.
Okay, all right. So, all right. There. My next question, Madam Chair, if I could just continue. Could you get me a list of what we spent on the jail, just in upkeep maintenance in the last 2 years, if possible? Is that a possibility?
Yep, I'll work with the Director of Facilities and Operations and get those numbers for you.
I mean, I know the jail's getting older. I believe it's 35, 37 years old, somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah, and we're actually meeting next week to start the process of updating our capital improvement plan. We had that company come in at the end of last year and the beginning of this year and did a full facility assessment for those facilities that are going to remain after we do our consolidation. It needs some work.
Yes, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move Resolution 2023-77, approval of a request to create, post, and fill one sergeant position.
We have a motion of support. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. If we could let him finish the resolution, that way the people that are watching will know kind of what we're voting on, and the audience also, that sometimes they don't get to read that far. So go ahead, Mr. Kuzma.
Move Resolution 2023-78, approval of a request to create, post, and fill one sergeant position and eliminate one lieutenant position at the Genesee County's Office of the Sheriff.
Support.
Okay, we have a
Is there-
motion and support. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move Resolution 2023-79, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the weeks ending 1/29/23 and 2/5/23 in the total amount of $8,401,757.35.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. Government operations, James.
Just a comment from the chair, please. You know, we had brought, another resolution into, that was a couple of weeks ago that we sent back to committee about overtime in the sheriff's office, and the sheriff and Crystal sat down and worked out a plan, so that was resolved, so that there wasn't any more general fund. He kept that within his budget, and I appreciate their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you for your report.
Madam Chair, who was the nay on the last? I honestly didn't.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Okay.
Okay, we go on to Government Operations, James Avery, chairperson, John Shoemaker, vice chair.
And I share they can support before I get to the account numbers.
Go ahead. What? Yeah.
Okay.
We got you.
Okay. We have item 1, approval of a purchase order for Hubbard's Military Supply for the fiscal year ending 2023 in amount not to exceed $56,600 for uniform supplies. The cost of purchase order will be paid from accounts that follow.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a
All right,
motion and
now,
a support.
Be consistent.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Number 2, approval of the contract between Genesee County and Legal Services of Eastern Michigan in the amount of $145,000 to provide pre-petition and post-adjudication ancillary legal services for families involved in child welfare cases. The cost for this agreement will be paid from the account as follows.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, 3, approval of purchase order to adopt a pet for fiscal year ending 2023 in an amount not to exceed $10,300 to provide for animal medical care at Adopt a Pet. The cost of this PO will be paid from the following account.
Support. Okay, we have a motion and a support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, 4, approval of purchase order to Dr. Anderson for the fiscal year ending 2023 in an amount not to exceed $8,200 to provide veterinary services. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the following account.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
5, approval of proposed amendment to the 22-23 appropriations resolution transferring $29,000 from the Animal Control Millage Fund to the balance to the account that follows. This amendment allows for an increase in a purchase order to the IDEX company, a testing and medication company.
Support.
Motion moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And 6, approval of proposed amendment to the 22-23 appropriations resolution transferring $62,800 from the Animal Control Millage Balance Fund, or balance to account that follows. This amendment allows for an increase in the purchase order to Dr. Travers for continued veterinary services.
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do you have a report at this time?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Human Services, Charles Winfrey.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, before I start, I wanted to acknowledge the staff that does the work that Stephanie Howard just talked about. Pamela Coleman, who's the Deputy Director, Charday Davis over Neighborhood Service Center, Jason Jones over Weatherization, Karen Moulton over, Karen is, she's a clerical assistant or over commodities. Tamitha Taylor is over nutrition, and Renetta Speed, who's chair of the advisory board.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to, I move Resolution 2023-86, approval of the 2023 Michigan State University Extension Millage Funding Agreement.
Support.
Have a motion and a support. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, Resolution 2023-87, approval of a request by Genesee County's Health Department to travel to the 2023 Michigan WIC Conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for a total cost not to exceed $5,441.80, and I so move.
Support. Moved. Do we have a support on it?
I do.
Okay, support. Go ahead, Mr. Kuzino.
I just wanted to point out so the public knows this is a annually required seminar that the staff has to do.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do you have any report? Mr. Winfrey, do you have a report?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Del Rico Lloyd, Chairperson.
Public Works, I'm going to move Resolution 2023-88, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the 2022 Genesee County and Parks and Recs Recreation Commission Annual Report. And if I may, I'd like to also move Resolution 2023-89, approval of a purchase order to Applegate Chevrolet for the fiscal year ending 2023, and an amount not to exceed $35,000 to provide for outside repairs. I'd like to move them both.
Support.
Okay, so we have a move and a support discussion. Mr. Shoemaker.
I have a question, Madam Chair. I'm seeing it's for repairs. I'm wondering, Mr. June is here, if he can come up and explain to me what their door rate is and
Yep, so that's actually for motor pool.
for our motor pool?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
So
never
this
mind,
is-
Barry can't do it then.
Yeah, so this will be an increase to the existing PO because we're going above the limit that's required for board approval. We had to bring it back in. We've had a rash of transmission issues on some of our Tahoes, and the reason we're taking them down to a dealership is because we've been able to get a little bit of warranty relief on the cost, not the full cost, but a little bit of warranty relief on some of those heavier repairs through GM.
If I may
Go ahead.
continue. My question is, wondering what they're charging us per hour. I mean,
Yeah.
most Chevy dealerships or most franchise dealerships have upped their door rate into the 170s, 180 range per hour now, for heavy work like this. And I know there's a lot of independent transmission shops around the area that do plenty of good work. They're less, they actually throw a warranty on it. So I'm just wondering, did we send this out to bid, or we just keep adding on to what we're sending to Applegate for work?
Yeah. So we didn't send this, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so we did not send this out to bid, and when I talked about warranty, it wasn't warranty after the fact. They're paying for part of the repair through GM. So if the repair was, $3,500, we're getting a percentage of that back through warranty with GM.
Go ahead.
And that's wonderful, but, I've been around the car business sadly for 25 years. And there's a lot of dealers that'll put on their window, especially dealers around here for used cars. They'll go, oh yeah, well, guess what? We cover 80%, or you cover 80% of the claim and we cover 20%, but we gave you a warranty. Where they'd be, and then they just jack the price up to cover that 20% even. What my question is even with with Chevrolet or General Motors giving us the discount or the rebate or however you want to put it, is it more than we would be paying by sending it out to a
Sure, I understand.
additional party? I had to have a transmission put in my son's Acadia a while back, and I got a 6-month warranty with it, and I put a transmission in for a lot less than I got charged at the Chevy dealer that even I know. So I'm just wondering, this is reoccurring. How many Tahoes are we talking, Josh?
I think transmission-wise, it was 3 or 4. And then we also had some engine work done on one of them. As we're moving forward, this should be less and less because we're starting to rotate our fleet, but there's been a delay from us taking custody of the 16 Tahoes that we bought and being able to get them outfitted and then back into the fleet. So that delay is causing us some problems, and the delay is because the outfitting companies aren't able to turn the vehicles around as quickly as we would like, and then also the delay in getting the equipment that's going into those vehicles to be outfitted. So next year, I would hope that we're not spending this type of money with with Applegate for these types of repairs. And we can certainly take a look at putting that out to bid to get kind of a flat rate dollar amount on those heavier repairs, but I would expect that those heavy repairs are going to be less. And then with a newer fleet, any heavy repair like that should be fully covered by warranty. This is just part of that kind of growth, or that pain of not getting those vehicles for 2 years. You know, the delay in getting them, they dumped them all on us at once, and then trying to get them outfitted and replacing the fleet. And in the meantime, we still have a need within the sheriff's office to provide vehicles so that they can go out with paramedics or patrol
Yeah,
or whatever.
do it
Yeah.
disposal.
So it has been, the last year and a half has been very painful.
Go ahead, finish.
If I could ask for a couple things. One, if you could get me a list of the vehicles we've actually sent, the year, make. And mileage, if you could, that would be appreciated, so we could see what we're doing. For those of you who don't know, 4 years ago when I came on board, I was put on Public Works, and we've, Mr. Freeman, myself, I believe Commissioner Kuzno was on there when I first started on Public Works, and then Commissioner Henry, and then Ellen, and then, and we put a process in place where we wanted to rotate through the vehicles, because when Josh and I started looking at it, and Marty, I think we still had a Chevy Cavalier as part of our fleet. So to give you an idea how bad it was, we didn't know what was there, what was going on. And we came up with a plan, and we put together that the goal would be no more than 5 years we wanted to keep a vehicle, because one, it would lose a large majority of its value after that 5th year. We came up with a plan of 125,000 miles on the vehicle, because that's when banks would stop loaning money or shorten the term of a loan when the vehicle was over 5 years and over 125,000 miles, so it would lose even more of its value. We had some problems getting inventory in the last couple of years, obviously, because of COVID and everything else like that, so it set us back a little bit. But the plan is to cut down on these repairs we're having, especially the heavy ones, because the vehicles won't be as old, there won't be issues from there. And since then, I think we made some changes, but I have one last question, Josh. Now, I know we had an order ready to go for this next year.
Yeah, so we've got the order in on our Tahoes. I think those, and I don't know if Derek is back there or not. He may not be. Derek Jones from purchasing. I think those are due to us in May or June this year for that portion of the order. We've got some pickup trucks that we're still waiting on GM for what that pricing is going to be and availability is going to be. And then same thing on the Malibus that we've ordered. But yeah, we've placed that order through the dealership, and at least on the Tahoe side, those are going to be in next couple of months, if everything goes right with GM, right?
And just if I may add one other thing, Madam Chair, so everyone understands, and the problem we're having is equipping these vehicles, actually getting the equipment on them or removed from the prior vehicle, like your sirens, cages, everything else like that. So we've had a problem getting them put back into the fleet. So it set us behind also. And just so you know, Mr. Freeman has been working very hard to come up with a plan so we don't fall into that situation again moving forward. So thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And that's all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. We do have one item for unfinished business.
There's a copy of the resolution in front of you. You already approved this. It was for some required travel through the health department, which is also with WIC, and this is part of their national conference. There was an issue with one or two of the account numbers. Nothing has changed other than making sure we have the appropriate account numbers on the resolution.
Move for approval.
Support.
Any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any unfinished business? Mr. Del Rico, Mr. Lloyd, sorry, Mr. Del Rico.
That's all right, just don't call me late for dinner. Requested an update on the road commission, the inquiry that's taking place. Since everybody's here, I may as well speak to it. There are meetings scheduled. I don't want to give the dates out loud, but there are meetings scheduled this week and next week for members of the board as well as the director of the road commission. And so I'll say that. So been working on scheduling through Josh with those folks, and he's just been able to work something out where we're able to actually have meetings. And so I wanted to say that piece. The other piece is, the other piece I want to mention is that at this time, there's not a plan to interview employees of the road commission. I have some conversation with the co-chair of the committee today. You know, we want to do this not only in a timely matter, but there's a lot of sensitive pieces that are hanging out there. And so with respect to that and a desire not to make matters a lot worse, we think that by speaking with the entire board and the director, that we'll be able to have a general sentiment of concerns that are out there, and we'll be able to, through the prosecutor's office, get a report and then get that to the board members. I'd spoken here previously and said 45 days, and so the hope is that we're done in 45 days. And every time I speak to Josh Freeman, he reminds me of that date, by the way. And so the other piece to that is, you know, we need to consider how we want to proceed in terms of the appointments. I had some conversation with Commissioner Cousineau and Commissioner Shoemaker today, and obviously, and I just kind of shared my own sentiment. And there may be others that have the same sentiment, maybe different. But, you know, if there's going to be, I'll say it this way, if there's going to be any other consideration of other reappointments or other additional appointments, whatever appropriate committee, I think those conversations should take place so that we can move that in a timely manner as well. Was hoping to be able to return to the appointments on the 15th. But if there's, you know, if there's some additional processes that are necessary for the 2 8-year terms that are up for reappointment or new appointment, I don't want to get into the politics of what folks' desires are on that, but just the process, then we probably should look at what that entails, if it's going to be soliciting additional resumes or whatever that is, so that we can kind of figure that out and determine a time frame. One last piece I'll say, really don't want to make this more of a political matter than it already is. Don't want to make it turn into a larger, I'll just leave it at that, as political as it's already been. Really don't want to feed that. And so I have my thoughts about how we proceed, and I'll reserve that for another time.
Okay, if I may, I know Commissioner Brown had contacted me to ask if they were still taking applications, or if the combination of the ones that we had for the 2-year term were going to combine with the ones that are going to be for the 6-year term. So if Mr. Shoemaker could answer that question, since he's the chair of that committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For those who are on the committee, the appointment committee, Mr. Freeman sent out an email requesting authorization to open it back up for applications for the 2 6-year terms. I asked that because when people were asked to apply for the first one, they were asked to apply for the 2-year term. And if someone was appointed to that 6-year term that only wanted a 2-year term, we could have a problem that we're going through this process once again. Plus, as, you know, when we posted out there, it was for the temporary term for that initial one. My goal will be, once we get all the applications in, to distribute them, if it's okay with the rest of the committee, right to you directly. The old process we went through, we actually vetted them. We actually made sure they had some qualifications. We interviewed them. But from what I've been hearing is everybody has their own opinion on that. So all we're going to do from the appointments committee side is set the policy that you have to send a resume in, you have to request it, because before you didn't even have to do that. You just had to know somebody that said, oh, I want you to be a road commissioner, and you were the road commissioner. So we're going to move forward with that. From that point forward, though, any appointments outside of road commission, everything else like that, I'm going to ask that board, I'm going to ask this board to approve certain rules we have and policies we will put place going forth when we do appointments, because what we had in place before, when Commissioner Kuzno was chair, worked. The appointees we made to these various boards stuck with these boards. They showed up to meetings because we actually put them through the process that was in place, and I would like to put that back in place. And once we get through this road commission thing, we'll have a meeting with the appointment committee, and we'll set some policies up, and we'll bring it to this board for approval then.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just ask a question for clarification? Because I did send that email out. I didn't hear back from anybody about putting out for those 2 permanent 6-year, or for the 6-year terms. Do you want me to put out notification asking people to apply?
Well, you have on that committee, you have Commissioner Davis.
I have Commissioner Davis, yourself, Commissioner Winfrey, and Commissioner Ellenberg.
So I'm the one that asked for it. I would like to see it go out right away.
Okay.
And then if
Okay.
Commissioner Winfrey's good
I'll
with
send
it.
something out tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other discussion? Seeing none, I call this meeting adjourned at 6:55.